Ladies and gentlemen, the doctor is in the house. It is always important to make sure you take good care of your health. If you don't, you tend to have long-term problems.
Yes.
I've been somebody who's dealt with some serious medical issues with regard. I was hit by a drunk driver, was in a coma. A lot of people are familiar with that. But give it up for our doctor in the building right today, Dr. Chad Weber. He is the owner of Chiro-Med, Regenerative Neuropathy of O'Fallon. Chiro-Med, O'Fallon.com, and just an expert in the industry. You've got a book too.
Yes,
we're gonna
just
show
had a book
a
come
little
out a
bit
couple weeks
off
ago.
about Dr. Chad Weber's book, and go over some of the details of somebody, a real expert, and somebody who's personally been through just a few things in life, as we all do, seem to go through. You want to make sure you get the experts to come in and make sure and take care of yourself for long term. And people talk about is there proactive or reactive, and how do you fix things and make sure. But
For sure.
That's why we bring the doctor in the building. So, doctor, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, with that, we'll give a quick shout out. I'm going to put up on the wall for everybody. We do have some great sponsors, and if it wasn't for our sponsors to make this thing all work, that's who makes things happen a lot of times. So, mortgage is important for everybody, but USA Mortgages are one of our primary sponsors, and they do a great job. We appreciate their support because USA Mortgage, the Flowers team, does a lot to help this community as a whole. And with that, we also have Carroll House Furniture, because you like nice things in your little castle. And so a lot of support they do for all of our efforts here in the community. But right back with that, I'm going to put back up on the wall the beautiful website you got there. A lot of great information up here, everybody, for Dr. Chad, and a Facebook page that's got tons of information too. So good work on all of that. All right, with that, Doctor, tell us, why did you decide to become a doctor of chiropractic?
Well, it's kind of a long journey. My mom's side of the family is all in healthcare. A lot of nurses, a couple medical doctors. My dad's side of the family is in construction. Always wanted to be in healthcare, just really know what I wanted to do. And my mom was like a lot of nurses in the 80s and 90s, prescribed a lot of medications, a lot of antibiotics for everything under the sun. And I started going to medical school and decided there had to be a better way than just writing scripts all day. No offense to the medical doctors out there, but just my perspective was there has to be a way to be healthy and maintain your health. When that all happened, my dad got into a significant construction accident. Surgeries, a lot of other things had to happen, but chiropractic was one of the main things that helped him get back on the job site, to get back to doing his job, being in his truck, and able to drive around. So that kind of pointed me in that direction. And then a family friend of ours is a chiropractor in Edwardsville, Dr. Thad Vanyo, and I shadowed him in his practice for a couple weeks or so, about a month, to see what it was all about. And I liked what I saw. Then went to Logan and walked around over there for like a week and signed up, and here we are.
Well, a great job, because again, somebody with your background, and we do have one of the best chiropractic doctor schools in the country.
Number one in the nation.
They're number one, yeah. And a lot of my buddies have been there, and I've got lots of good friends that have gone through that program, and they just really help to really. I appreciate chiropractic because it really helps treat the core issue for a lot of problems.
Exactly.
You're not trying to deal with symptoms. You're actually going for the root of the problem. Is that true?
Yeah, and one of my buddies just coined a new term in the last couple of weeks. So we're root cause doctors. You know what I mean? We're trying to get to the root cause of the problem rather than masking things with medications all the time. Now, again, medications have their place in the healthcare world, but if we were more focused on root causes and prevention, we wouldn't have as many disease issues in this country that we already have.
Well, we could go to a long, detailed path about why influence and lobbying and money that contribute to the methods for how things get done. But hey, chiropractic has been around for a couple centuries now.
Yeah, the actual profession of chiropractic's been around for 120 years approximately. You know, They're called bone setters in ancient China. Have been around for thousands of years.
Right.
You know, so the profession's been around since it was coined about 120 years or so.
Okay. And just does great stuff. And I've been somebody who's personally benefited from that. Recently was in a little accident, went to my chiropractor that I personally go to, Dr. Chris McCluskey, you know Dr. Chris.
Yep, good guy.
Great guy. And boy, it just keeps you on path. And boy, my spine was doing all these weird stuff, and I had nerves that were getting numb. And he treated me a few times and got me all on path. And that's what you guys really do a great job of.
Yes, indeed.
Tell me a little bit more about the path that you took to get here. You talked about how you were kind of influenced. They did great work to help your father. When you decided to go to Logan, and where it went from there?
Oh, my path is probably a little bit different than most. So I graduated from Logan, bought a practice in Collinsville, Illinois, right out of school. Was kind of a dying practice, was bringing it back to life. Actually got into a lawsuit with the guy I bought the practice from. That was interesting. And then moved the office, and 4 years to the day we opened, the practice burned down. We had an arson situation going on. The office burned down. And
oh, wow.
and in that moment, my mom was diagnosed with terminal cancer. So I took about a year or so off to help take care of her, and then became an associate at Chiro-Med Chiropractic. Dr. Ben Lux gave me a job running a clinic in O'Fallon. Ran that for almost 3 years and eventually bought it out. So I was there in 2013. Bought it out at the beginning of 17. Have owned it ever since. We opened Regenerative Neuropathy of O'Fallon here in the last 2 years to start treating people with peripheral neuropathy.
So yeah, coming up on 16, 17 years as a chiropractor.
Been doing it a while.
And doing this. So you're not just one of the guys saying, hey, I'm out of school freshman, I want to try this thing. And give me...
no, I've been through the trials and tribulations of it enough, but
right,
still fun.
Well, yeah, and that's why, like I said, I have great appreciation. My dad had gone to a chiropractor decades ago, and really, like, my dad was getting his PhD and would fall asleep in the chairs that he was studying in at the time, and then ended up messing up his back.
Yeah.
And so then who else can fix your back better than a chiropractor? But I went to a couple of the appointments with him. I'll never forget. Really got him back on path. But again, great,
for sure,
great stuff that you guys do. Awesome stuff. Give me a little bit about your as a youth, as a youth, right? When you were young, what do you think it was as a child or as in your teens that kind of led you to this path that kind of helped you realize this is what you wanted to do?
Man, I was always active as a kid. I'm unfortunately not too many serious injuries or anything like that. Like in my household, it was a medical world. Like I knew nothing about chiropractic whatsoever. But like I said, my mom was a nurse, and God rest her soul. Like she was just it's a pill for everything. I was like, Mom, I remember being 16 years old. Like, we're constantly taking antibiotics, taking all these medications, and at about 17, I finally decided I wasn't going to take them anymore. Nothing against her, but it was just like my mentality was just not there. It's like there has to be something different to this than constantly taking meds. Like it was just part of our lifestyle. There was no individual triggering event as far as like my childhood goes. It's just a different mentality and approach to being healthy as opposed to just taking medication all the time.
Yeah, and there's a great need for the doctors and from the medical. What side of the world do you call it? But
they call it the allopathic world. If you're in a medical emergency, you're probably one of the best countries in the world. You're having a heart attack, you have cancer, you got into a car accident, you go to the emergency room. You're one of the best places you could possibly be. But if you're trying to actually be healthy, unfortunately, we're ranked pretty low in the world stats on that situation.
Right, and it's just a lot of people don't study the fact that there's so much more that you can do to treat the body rather than just, here's a symptom, let's make the pain go away. Well,
exactly.
The pain is telling you there's something wrong. You don't just want to cover up the pain, you want to fix what the root cause is, right?
Exactly. It's like the check engine light in your car. You hopefully just don't drive the engine until you blow it up.
Yeah,
right?
put a little piece of tape over the the engine and say, hey, turn that off.
Some electrical tape over.
Don't want to look at that signal telling me there's something wrong. So 17 years almost in the business now. A great path that led you here. Logan, again. And why did you choose Logan, and what was the influence there? How much do you think that program they offer there really helped you?
The Logan situation was more of in the moment, honestly, was more of a geographical deal. I'm from Edwardsville, Illinois. My whole plan was to try and save money and commute to school. That lasted 2 weeks due to traffic and everything.
Right.
They did offer a lot more in the realm of sports medicine and stuff like that. They were more of an open scope when it came to the chiropractic profession as far as what they offer there, because you can get a master's in sports programs and stuff like that. There are a lot of nutritional type things. BioFreeze, I'm sure people have heard of BioFreeze. BioFreeze actually has a lab there for sports injuries and things like that.
Oh, wow.
So a bit of a wider scope that they offer compared to some of the other universities.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It just so happens that you say, I wake up if I want to be a doctor of chiropractic. St. Louis happens to have the #1 school in the country, so it makes it a little easier. If you wake up in Hawaii and you want to go to the #1 school in the country, it's a bit of a
little more difficult.
A little bit of travel you got to do there to get to the program. But fortunate that where you had this interest, you happen to have one of the top schools in the country that does that. Well, awesome stuff, and that's what we would like to hear, the background a little bit, why people end up where they're at. What would you say really fuels your passion for what you get to do now? As a matter of helping people, tell me why you love what you're doing to help.
Man, it's just really awesome to see someone actually take control of their health and actually get better. You know what I mean? Like, it's cool to see someone come in the office, and a lot of people have, unfortunately, the wrong mentality towards health. They think medications are the answers to their problems. And once you kind of start educating and watch the gears in their head start turning, they start realizing like what the real situation is, and they commit to it, because that's the biggest thing. Once they commit to the part of getting better, and they put the effort and they start getting the results and they get their quality of life back, I mean, it's amazing stuff. I mean, we have people literally probably about every day crying in our office because they're getting their life back, and you can't buy it. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much value in it.
Yes, as somebody again who's been through a little bit, and if I didn't have such good doctors and those who helped me to rehabilitate, I mean, life is very difficult if you don't have the proper care.
Yeah.
And so many people, they are reactive and they wait till there's a problem, and then when the problem comes about, they, instead of fixing it, they go back to and say, hey, just make me feel better. Give me some aspirin. Give me some pain meds. How often is that the case, and why is that not such a good idea?
Well, I think that's probably, if you had to put a number on it, you'd say it's probably 90% of the patients out there. You know,
Right.
Mainly because you got to think of marketing, all things you see in the world, like everything's promoting. You know, you have a problem, take a pill. You got a problem, take a pill. The problem is with that is that they're just masking the problem, right? Like we just said. But once people start to understand and you start educating, because one of the things I think a lot of people don't get in their healthcare journey is any education. You know, they walk in the building, they walk in the office, whoever it is, Dr. Smith says, got this problem, take these medications. They walk out the door without ever understanding what's actually wrong with them. You know, in our clinic, we pride ourselves, I guess if you want to look at it, to educating the patients on what their condition is, so when we tell them what they have to do to actually get better, they actually understand why we're doing what we're doing and why the medication isn't necessarily fixing their issue.
Right, and so back to the original discussion, how often do people not get the right nutrients? They don't get the right care. I've got a number of buddies of mine that went to Logan or their chiropractors, and it's just they'll talk about so many people are deprived of the actual minerals and things that are vital to your health. And again, they just start saying, and how often do we say, I need some energy, I go drink a soda? And
yeah, right.
How good is that for you?
And that's the thing, like, metabolically, most of us are deprived. Like, the apple you eat today is not the same as the apple you ate 30 years ago. Right. Just in the keep it simple type situation. And our American diets, they call it the SAD diet because it's a standard American diet, is terrible, right? It's processed food, it's dehydration, it's sodas, high fructose corn syrup, all that type of stuff. But, like, none of that gives your body the building blocks it needs to heal itself, right? So, like, our programs in the clinic, actually, we have kits that come with each individual thing we do in the office to make sure the patients are getting all the metabolic nutrients they need, all the supplementation they need so their body has the building blocks to heal itself. But that's one of the huge problems we have in our country, is that people's nutrition is terrible.
Yeah, nutrition is something, obviously, that this is what supplies your body with all that it needs. And what percentage of the people would you say in this country are deprived, literally don't have even half of what they should be having with regard to the right nutrients?
God. I mean, without getting into the topic of, like, you know, I guess, like, people that just don't have access to food, right? But the average American, I'd say it's 60 to 70% of people are not getting the proper balance of nutrients they need for their bodies to do their daily functions.
Is that more of a matter of information? They just understand, and there's so much influence with regard to, like, eat a bowl of Cheerios or eat a bowl of Fruit Loops or ramen noodles or whatever it is.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
it's easy.
You would think in today's age of information, there's a lot of good information, there's a lot of bad information. We all have smartphones, we all have access to information, right? So part of it is lack of ability to educate yourself and find the proper information. You know, part of it is the cost of what food is. I mean, I can go to McDonald's and get a double cheeseburger for $2, or I can go to some place and try to buy a salad with some chicken breast. It might cost you $15. You know what I mean? Like, it becomes an economic issue at some point in time, but also there's a lack of willingness. I mean, people are so easy and apt to grab a fast food meal or grab a soda as opposed to something that's more healthy. You know, Starbucks has a line 5 blocks long. Like, there also has to be some self-accountability. Like, eventually somebody has to be like, I need to do better for myself and take control of their health.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes, and that is our country. I mean, we do have all the resources here that make it so that you can get this kind of stuff. The internet has kind of revolutionized the way we can find the information, but it's an initiative. I think you're talking about.
Yes.
Too. A lot of people, it's too easy, This is the path of less resistance. They don't need to get up. You just go right here and grab the soda.
Yeah, we all fall into it. I'm not a saint. You know what I mean? We go through our moments. Like holiday season is what it is. You know, the last 2 months, I haven't been the best. I ain't gonna lie, but but it's at least making an effort. And most people, unfortunately, once you start talking to them, make zero effort into improving their situation. You know, and improving their overall health and well-being. They're just relying on medications all day long, and they just get worse and worse, unfortunately.
Wow. Yeah, and that contributes more to the problem. It compounds on itself, and then you wake up one day and you're 150 pounds overweight, and you can't feel certain parts. We're going to talk about some great testimonials. With that, let's share with everybody. I'm going to put up on the wall some of the great response Dr. Chad Weber has had from so many great clients. And if you look at, just do a Google search, that's what we did. Chiro-Med Health and Wellness, 4.996 stars. So you didn't overload us with 500, perfect 5.0, but you got a 4.9. And obviously, a lot of people took the time to do this, and we like to share with people that you obviously are doing a great job. So just do a quick search, and you'll see that Chad does have a great perspective on sharing the information out there. And you can see here those reviews, and that really helps make it easy for people to make a decision whether or not to use your services. And that's what people need to have access to that kind of information. With that, though, I want to put up for everybody, you do have some great information from a number of testimonials, a bunch of videos that were put out there. But we even loaded one of the videos into our system here because this was important information and really a great testimonial for what you offer and how people are very satisfied with what you do. So with that, let's play this little testimonial that we had.
Hi, my name is Lavedra Singfield, and I am a client of Chiro-Med. And I came here initially because I had really bad pyrolneuropathy, and also I had degenerative disc disease in my lower back, as well as severe arthritis. So I had gotten to where I was in constant pain, not only from the neuropathy, but also from my back. And also it was difficult for me to bend over, to do normal housework type of things. And when I started here, I felt the best I had felt in a long time because my pain went away. I was able to move again, and it's been close to a year now, and I can still move around wonderfully.
Well, there you go. There's a great testimonial from Vate, talking about how she really appreciates the work that you've done and how you've really helped her. I mean, how often is it that's the kind of response you get? I mean, you feel good about being able to really help some people.
Oh, man, I'm not trying to be braggish. We hear it every day. Like, you know, with our peripheral neuropathy program we started, like our office results are about 94% of patients that commit to the process and do the program get the results they're looking for. That's what's great about what we do. That's why I love what we do. It's like you see people change their life around. You know, it doesn't take years. If they commit to it within months, they will change the quality of their life and get the results they're looking for. But again, they have to commit to the process. There's no shortcut around what they have to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. And it's a matter of following up systematically. When I was seeing the doctor after some health issues I had, we went once a week. And we got a scan, and we did stretches, and then we cracked the back and do the important stuff to make sure that I was on that path. And they showed me the before and the after. It was unbelievable. And those are the kinds of results I know you guys get. So that's why we put the hat on, everybody, because you're really doing good things to help the community. We like to share that. The Cardinal Cowboy. Chad is a huge Cardinal fan, so he's seen me down at the Cardinal games. I think I recognize when you showed up here today. I said, yep, we've met before, and a lot of good stuff you do in the community. So it's great to finally meet you face to face here in our studio. But 30 or so Cardinal games he goes to every year, everybody. And so if you don't see him at his office, maybe you get to see him down at the Cardinal game because there's a lot of good stuff there. So on the screen to our right, I'm going to put this up for everybody to see as well. This is celebrating Tom's results. Tell us about Tom and what kind of results he had there and why you're highlighting this.
So Tom came to us in November of 22, I believe it was. He came in, we did our evaluation on him. He was at 100% sensory loss in his feet, meaning that he literally was hot, cold, sharp, dull, anything. He couldn't feel anything. He was walking, but not very well. We presented our program to him. He decided at the moment he didn't want to undergo care and said, no, it's your choice, but we're here, we're not going anywhere. Approximately 2 months later, Tom shows back up with his wife basically carrying him and helping him walk in the office. He couldn't walk anymore by himself. He said, we got to talk. And I said, well, we sat down in the room and said, what's the deal? He's like, can we start today? I said, Yeah, we can start today. But he was 100% sensory loss within. So this is what, May? Yeah, these tests were taken in May. So
Okay.
he reduced his or improved his sensory by 75% in 4 months. Within 2.5 or 3 months, he was completely walking on his own again, doing daily activities
Wow.
around his house, household chores, that type of stuff. His most recent evaluation was a couple months ago, and I think he's down in the almost single digits. So anything under 20% is what we call an acute neuropathy state, meaning you've gotten out of the state of chronicity, right, and you're into an acute phase, which means he's on the road to recovery. I mean, he's getting his life back. So it was a pretty awesome thing to see. He's one of the first guys that came in and unfortunately didn't start care, and we saw him 2 months later, and he was literally on the verge of being in a wheelchair.
Wow, that's got to be rewarding to be able to take somebody from such dire 100% loss. I mean, wow.
Yeah.
And so now you're going, this guy's going to, nobody wants to be in a wheelchair
No.
for any period of time of their life. And to where he was walking on his own.
Yeah, and that's what the people that have peripheral neuropathy, unfortunately, the process of that disease, like, it's a debilitating thing. It's not a matter of if it's going to take their mobility. It's a matter of when. It might be 6 months. It might be 6 years. We don't know the future, but the people that deal with it, unfortunately, they end up in debilitated states. And our goal for our patients, like I tell them every day, is like, we're a quality of life clinic. You want to maintain your quality of life. You want to avoid walkers, wheelchairs, unfortunately, nursing homes, those types of things. We're your place. And that's what Tom committed to, and guess what? He's walking, which is amazing.
Very good news there. And another exciting example. We've got dozens of these photos that we could show up on the wall of some of the results that they've had at Chad's office. And just when you get these kinds of results from people that are so excited, I'm going to put this back up here again. And tell me a little bit more about some of the results here. We've got another great example. This is another client of yours. And tell me what was going on here a little bit.
So that's Dean. Dean's in his early 80s, I believe, if I can remember correctly. Dean came in. He had his new girlfriend that he wanted to go dancing with and stuff like that, and Patty. And his thing was he wanted to spend time, and he was a widow, found a new girlfriend. She liked to dance. He wanted to dance with her, but he had no balance, so he couldn't dance. So he started with our program. He was, I think, in his 50s, a percentage of loss, if I see that correctly, 54. And that was the day he graduated. So he was 12 months. He had a 12-month program, and he was getting 11 and 5% when he started. Balance is totally fine, doing what he wants, going dancing, enjoying himself. Again, getting his quality of life back. So if you go to our office, you'll see hundreds of these photos around our office. We have them all over the walls and everything else like that, kind of celebrating the wins,
Yeah, we give everybody access to a folder where they can upload, and I was like, wow, we've got a lot to choose from here. Let's narrow it down to a couple great examples, but there are literally dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of examples like this. They take the time to make these neat little flyer brochures to share a little bit. So these people got to be excited with this. They take this and say, hey guys, my life is back. I can now deal with life on a more of a regular fashion so that I can enjoy and walk on my own and dance with my girlfriend and do all the exciting
stuff. For sure.
Stuff.
We like to celebrate the wins. These patients they're putting in the work. We've set up the game plan. They put in the work. They do show up, and obviously we quarterback the whole thing for them. But when the patients are putting in the work, we gotta celebrate that for them. So it's a good time.
That is dynamite, and what we like to show off. Well, and so much of that you see. Here's one more example we've got here, and tell me a little bit about who we have here and what you did for this young lady. Lynn,
yes, I'm going to blank on the name for a second. So Lynn and Mike, her husband, both came in as a couple. They both had peripheral neuropathy. Both having issues with pain, discomfort, weren't sleeping well. Mike was starting to have some issues with balance, and he's diabetic, fear of having amputations and losing his toes.
Wow.
Because that's how it gets. They shared a program. They shared their equipment at home. Again, she started at 54 and 46%. This particular one, she was that's 7 months in. And again, left foot, she was down to 10% sensory loss. Right foot, she was down to 1%. So he's almost at 100% recovery in a matter of 7 months. And she has a 12-month program as well. So, again, committing to the process, getting the results. No pain. She also went through spinal decompression therapy. I should probably bring that up. She had headaches for 22 years, literally basically every day. She had a couple bulging discs in her neck. We started her on cervical traction decompression in the office while she was doing a neuropathy program. She hasn't had a headache in 6 months.
All right, everybody. This is where you get to really make an impact and see what you're doing to change our little world and make this a little better place for a lot of people. When you're taking somebody from 1% back to where they're fully functional, not necessarily 100%, but 90, 95, 75%, holy cow, that's an unbelievable recovery for people so they can function.
For sure, it's an awesome time, man. It's cool watching people get their life back.
Well, if there was one thing you could say that really sets your business apart, I mean, I want to talk a little bit. We got to jump in and talk a little bit about your book here as well. What really sets you guys apart from all the rest of the options people have?
Well, healthcare in general isn't the most friendly of environments. We pride ourselves in kind of putting the care back in healthcare, and again, people come into our office in a pretty debilitated state. They're not in the best shape. No, they're not walking well. They come in wheelchairs and walkers. We have a pretty high energy environment. We try to have a good time while we're there, so people, I mean, they're not in the best mood sometimes, but we try to make at least a positive experience while they're there. We're part of a group of doctors across the United States that specialize in this neuropathy programs that we offer. There's about 1,200 clinics across the country. The southern state of Illinois, there's one other than us right now, but we were the only place in the whole southern state of Illinois outside Chicago that did what we did until a few months ago. But we pride ourselves in putting, care in what we do, and patients, even though they're in bad shape, can enjoy being there. And we also offer certain programs that no one else does.
Amazing. And I want to now let's jump into talking about your book. Recently authored your own book, The Regenerative Effect: Your Solution for Neuropathy Now. Dr. Chad Weber, take a look. Tell us about the book. What can people learn from you?
So we got this out like 2 weeks ago. I think it finally showed up at the office. So basically, it talks about, it's kind of a two-folded situation. The first couple chapters are about the state of our nation's healthcare system. It talks a lot about how, again, we talk about nutrition. Our nutrition's not right. We're not focusing on maintaining and preventing disease. We're more focused on taking medications to mask problems. Again, medications aren't terrible across the board, but as a healthcare system, it's not the best. And the second half, or the middle part, talks about what causes peripheral neuropathy in the first place. Peripheral neuropathy is a neurological condition that's created by a circulatory problem. So basically discusses how loss of microcirculation to the nerves causes the nerves to suffocate and starve to death, and the nerves can't function. And as the nerves don't function, guess what happens? You stop feeling things, you start losing circulation, you start losing your balance, you don't sleep well, those types of deals. I guess in the third half of it is more about what we do in the clinic to fix the problem, right? So it goes into the details of the protocols we use, how we use certain specialized equipment to re-educate and retrain nerve functions, so the nerve actually starts refiring properly again. Talks about how we use another piece of equipment in order to rebuild circulation to the nerve, so you actually can rebuild blood vessels to the nerve, so the nerve gets its oxygen and nutrients it needs to function. It also talks about the nutritional programs we offer and the supplementation that we give our clients in order so their bodies get in the proper building blocks to rebuild the system, right? So it's a kind of an overview of what the problem is, what neuropathy actually is, and how we go about fixing it in our clinic with the protocols that we specialize in.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We've gone over here already because there's so much great information to share. Dr. Chad Weber, his book, The Regenerative Effect: Your Solution for Neuropathy Now. Get a copy of that and learn a lot more. So stay tuned for more, everybody. Giddy up.